The second theoretical tool in education works with regulative principles, the deep heart that informs why we do education. And what I did in the last video was I gave 3 identifying rules of thumb which would help you to recognize a regulative principle. Basically, you need common humanity. It must work for everyone. Everyone must be included. Number 2, common dignity. Even though everyone's included, everyone must be able to access all the states, even though some tend to reach higher states than others. And thirdly, even though some don't reach the higher states, it's good for all of us in terms of the fact that the principle works for everyone, not just some. So that gave us 3 rules of thumb. What I'd like to now do is embody those rules of thumb in concrete examples. So we're going to look at 3 regulative principles, and we're going to try and see how they work with common humanity, common dignity, and common good. So let's work with this table in front of us, and what we have is 3 quite important regulative principles in education: traditionalism, marketability, and creativity. And what I'd like to do quickly is sketch out how common humanity, common dignity, the orders of worth, and the sacrifice you need to reach the higher levels works, and the common good for all 3. And you'll see that they are very different in the way that they work. So for example, the common humanity for traditionalism is that we are all born, we all die, and in that in-between time, we need to learn that heritage, that precious wisdom, and we have to take responsibility for transferring it from the older generation to the younger generation. Now, in order to do that properly, the younger generation has to respect the older generation. There has to be a relationship of master to apprentice. There has to be a situation of respect where the older person is recognized as being wiser and having more insight into the traditions itself. And if the younger person wants to get there, well, he's not just going to get old. He has to sacrifice in terms of listening and obeying the elders and developing habits and character which will enable them to reach higher levels, especially through respect. Now, if you have tradition at the heart of education, it's not just good for those who are old, and not just good for those who listen to the old people. It's good for everyone. It establishes continuity and change. It benefits everyone in terms of stability, the transfer of wisdom across the generations, and this is good for people whether they obey or not. It's good as a holding principle in the world, in our lives, in education itself. Now, when you get to marketability as a regulating principle, well, it has a very different take on what our common humanity is. For marketability, what makes us common is the fact that we're all selfish. We're seeking to improve ourselves. We're on the lookout for ourselves. That's what makes us common, is our selfishness. Now, that selfishness actually results in a situation where, although everyone can be selfish, only certain people take that selfishness and transform it into a situation where they try and make sure that they develop the skills and the abilities to move themselves ahead in life. So the competition between selfish people results in winners and losers, but everyone in that situation has equality of opportunity. That's your common dignity. That's what gives you all the chance to succeed. And within that, because everyone has equality of opportunity and everyone has a fair chance, what then happens is those that are able to adapt and survive and improve themselves in that situation, well, they reach higher and higher levels of achievement and they get just reward for that. That kind of principle is good for everyone. A free market, even though it results in winners and losers, rich and poor, results in fair distribution of resources where people work hard for what they've achieved. They can be satisfied with what they've got once they've got it. And you have a dynamic and progressive society which rewards hard work and punishes laziness. An education system which works with that will generate a better world. Now with creativity, we've already used it as an example. We're all creative and passionate. That's deep down in all of us. But in order to reach higher levels of creativity, we need to take risks, we need to take detours, we need to deny the chances of glory and fame and quick pleasures. We have to reach the heights of creativity through long, hard, personal struggle, which takes risky paths which might have no reward and might have great failure, and through that path you land up in a situation through great risk comes great reward. And this kind of world is better for everyone, including those who don't reach their creative potential, because it introduces vibrancy, invention, and beauty into the world. Now, what you can hear as we go through those regulative principles is that actually they can be in either alliance or conflict with each other. And this is the key point I want to make with this theoretical tool, is get you into a position where you start to understand that as a theorist of education, you can't just identify one regulative principle and make that the one you stand for. As soon as you do that, you're going to find other people with other regulative principles coming at you with what they from their heart feel is the most important guiding light of education. And you have to live in a world where not only are there going to be competitors coming at you with different positions, but as a theorist of education, you can't just stand with one principle. You have to understand how regulative principles as a whole work, and they work in a world of conflict and alliance.